Ooh, what's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 84 of the Stand Up Guys podcast. I'm your host, the incomparable Zach Jones, joined as always by the Bobby Fulton to my Jackie Fulton, Lester Jones.
Yeah, hello, everybody.
The guy that's getting text messages because he didn't silence his phone.
So those are like other wrestlers?
Yeah, they're wrestlers.
You're going to run out at some point.
Oh, I'm going to very quickly. And, of course, that's the sound of the Ninth Wonder, Chocolate Thunder, licking butts and getting in guts, the ass tasting, times a-wasting, having fun, eating that scrum, the phenomenal one, A.J. Singh.
You taste one ass.
And then another and another.
You tasted one ass, you've tasted them all.
Now, guys, usually we do a little bit of small talk here at the beginning of the show, but we're not doing that today, ladies and gentlemen, because we just got out of the theater watching my most anticipated movie of the year, The Batman. And so we're going to do both a little
Not to be confused with the other Batman.
Right. This is the Batman.
The definitive.
So we're going to do both up top a spoiler-free review for anyone who hasn't seen it yet, and then we'll get cracking on a little more spoilery plot breakdown. But we will give everybody heads up once we get into spoiler territory. Let me go ahead and bring up the old Rotten Tomatoes here, though. I believe. So right now the movie's sitting at an 85%, but I figured let's give the old synopsis of the movie here. Batman ventures into Gotham City's underworld when a sadistic killer leaves behind a trail of cryptic clues. As the evidence begins to lead closer to home and the scale of the perpetrator's plans becomes clear, he must forge new relationships, unmask the culprit, and bring justice to the abuse of power and corruption that has long plagued the metropolis. Or the Gotham in this case. This movie, 2 hours and 56 minutes. It's a hefty one. But the movie stars Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne, a.k.a. Batman, Zoe Kravitz as Selina Kyle, Jeffrey Wright as Lieutenant James Gordon, Colin Farrell as the Penguin, Paul Dano as the Riddler, and John Turturro as Carmine Falcone. All right, guys, so off the top, just what were your guys' overall spoiler-free impressions of the film?
I liked it. In my mind, I automatically try to compare it, but I don't remember the Nolan Batman's shot for shot. I haven't seen them for a few years now, so it's up there. It's top 2, I'd say. I don't know if it's number 1 or not though.
But you would think you might be considering it.
Yeah, I'm considering it. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. What about you?
Yeah, I thought it was a solid entry. I enjoyed it. I thought I was going to be I don't know. I kind of kept my hopes at a lower level, but I thought it was, definitely a solid movie.
It is good to go into a movie without getting your hopes too high, I think. Mm-hmm. I liked the film as well. I liked it tonally. It was very noirish, kind of a crime noir. I think probably the best Batman comics are. Also kind of at the center of it, a mystery, which I like as well. I definitely like the movie as well. For me, I definitely, it doesn't top either Batman Begins or The Dark Knight for me, but I do like it a lot. I'll definitely have to watch it a few more times. We'll get to it. I thought maybe the ending, I liked it, but maybe a little anticlimactic. I'll have to see what you guys think.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
So off the top, let's go through the performances. What do you guys think of Robert Pattinson as the Batman?
I liked him quite a bit, yeah.
Very brooding character. Stayed that way the whole time.
No, I liked him too, definitely, as the Batman. But what do you guys think of him as Bruce Wayne? Because in most movies, Bruce Wayne does the whole thing where he's kind of playboyish to throw people off his scent. He doesn't want people to know he's Batman. So Bruce Wayne kind of comes off as
I mean, that's a thing that never really makes sense in other times though, because he's like, I'm Batman all day, and I fuck party girls all through the day, and then I'm Batman all through the night. And I was like, come on, dude, when the fuck are you sleeping?
Well, yeah, he he's getting tops 4 hours of sleep a day.
Like this one, he's like, I don't have time to be Bruce Wayne. I'm Batman.
I get that, but it also makes him broody 24/7.
Yeah, he's always whenever he's Bruce, he's got like that gothy like hair.
Oh yeah, he did have that.
Yeah, I feel like people, like you always kind of feel like people put together that he's Batman, but in this movie, I think it's maybe even truer to the case. It's like, oh yeah, that guy that's always depressed and mopey.
Well, that's the thing too. When he like meets the same people, like he still has like the same like Batman attitude. He's just like quiet and sullen.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't change it up. It's like, hey, wait, you're just like that Batman asshole who wouldn't talk to me for like 5 minutes. Just sat there staring at me like a dick.
Yeah, that is kind of true. He a lot of times is like he's just like staring at people like solemnly. What do you guys think of Zoe Kravitz's Selena Kyle / Catwoman?
Yeah, I thought she was okay.
She's solid, yeah. She's cute.
Yeah.
That's what you're gonna reduce it to.
Well, that's like you want that first, and then
Right.
like, but no, I thought it was a good performance. I did well.
It's a good thing she didn't make her like, Catwoman, like the superhero, like, doing all kinds of crazy stuff like right after that. She was kind of like a normal person who had some athleticism and stuff.
I also liked it when her and Batman like first meet and kind of get into. Well, I won't do that because it's a slightly spoilery. I'll get into that in a bit, but yeah. I also liked that they, as far as her look, they kind of went with the Darwin Cook, Ed Brubaker running the comics, how she looked there. For anyone who actually reads the Batman comics, that's actually like definitely the best Catwoman running comics. It's really good. What do you guys think of Colin Farrell as the Penguin? And would you guys, like, if you didn't know it was him, would you have known it was him? Like, I'll say I wouldn't have.
I totally forgot it was him. And then after the movie, when I was listening to somebody talk about it, I was like, whoa, that was Colin Farrell? Oh my God.
Yeah, me and him were talking about, like, I don't know if it's all practical makeup or if it's CGI or a combo of the two, but whatever they did, man, it makes him look so different.
Yeah, he looked very different.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't feel like he did have some parts, but kind of like a slightly reduced part. But yeah, I think I saw like a preview before and I didn't know it was him, and I definitely didn't recognize him. But I don't think I would have recognized him, but I think I would have felt like there was something familiar, maybe. Like I'd be like, there's something here. But I don't think I would have
put it together.
Yeah.
Let's go with the villain of the movie. Paul Dano is the Riddler.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Paul Dano and other stuff, and he's still he's kind of a kid, but he did, yeah, he played the role well. He kind of has that like menacing kind of like, he's under the radar. He looks like he would be like a good Riddler in that sense.
Yeah.
Well, I like that they went darker with the character. I don't know if I really love the costume where he basically just has a bag on his head. But
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know they want to hide his identity, but it's not the most interesting costume in the world.
I don't know if I loved his performance, but I don't know. Yeah, I was kind of.
I felt like it was good that they kept him like kind of in the dark. Like not so much screen time because,
right.
You sometimes in the old Batman movies, like the bad guy got so much screen time, and it didn't work sometimes, and this worked.
I kind of feel like when the mask came off later, like he was just like over the top enough that I was kind of like, like I was withdrawing.
Like maybe he could have took it down a click.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get the scene that you're talking about, and we'll get into it. I think you might be right about that. This is not a huge spoiler or anything, but like, what do you guys think of Andy Serkis as Alfred? Because to me, I didn't think he's not in the movie like a ton. Like, I hope he
didn't get much time. Yeah.
So it was hard to really form an opinion about him. Like I thought he was fine, but his role is like limited enough that I don't know if we got enough of a sense of him.
Yeah, I don't know if you got enough time to feel like affectionate for him.
Right. Like Michael Caine in the Nolan movies, like you really get enough time with him that you are invested in him a lot.
Yeah, I felt that, and also like I don't know. There's probably certain like people you could have enrolled that where like if you cast them and even if they had less, like you'd be like, oh, you didn't do that. Like you didn't punch Mr. Rogers in the face. Or, I don't know, whatever. But
I want to ask you guys, like, what do you think was the theme? Like some of the themes of this movie. Like, I guess what I'm getting at, and I'll keep it spoiler free for here. Vague and get into it in more detail once we start going into spoilers. But I thought there was almost a criticism of an aspect of Batman. I don't know if you'd want to call it toxic masculinity, but I thought there was several instances in the movie where like they kind of took that power fantasy that's part of people who enjoy Batman and like this thought about vengeance and punching like bad guys like in the face and kind of said like maybe that's not a good thing, like maybe that fantasy leads to things you don't want, like, and there was like several kind of things in the movie I think that were like telling people that. What did you guys get that at all?
maybe, I mean, he still had his line like, he didn't want guns, but punching people was fine.
Yeah, I mean, I guess towards the end. No, I don't know. I kind of felt like he stayed the same in that sense.
Well, there's a spoiler one where he like rages out at one spot.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you guys think we should hit before we get into spoilers?
No, I'm good.
I think we can get into the main.
All right, guys, you heard it. So from here on out, spoilers ahead. This was a dense movie, and I'll be honest, even though we just watched it, I certainly am not going to remember every single thing of how to get from point A to point B to point C, but we'll do our best and pick up, talk about all the things we want to talk about. So we opened the film through the Riddler's eyes, basically, and we can hear his kind of creepy breathing as he's scoping out this well-to-do family. It's Halloween. We find out in a little bit. So their little kid is dressed up as like a swordsman, which I don't know if I thought maybe they were going for Zorro. It's just kind of a callback to the comics because like in a lot of the comics, like Bruce himself is a big Zorro fan, and like the movie they go to is The Mask of Zorro, where his parents get killed. So I don't know if it was a reference.
Yeah, one guy called him Zorro at some point in the movie.
Yeah, the Penguin refers to him as Zorro, I believe. So, by the way, there was quite a few references to the comics and different like comic books in this movie, and like I was telling him, like. With most of these comic book movies, like towards the end of the credits, they always have like a special thanks where they list off like the writers of the comics who they kind of crib story elements from, and like this movie had like a bunch of names at the end, and you could definitely tell like there's a little bit of like Long Halloween, Batman Year One. I want to say maybe Batman Earth One, the Jeff Johns story, and quite a few different comic book stories. Anyway, we find out this guy's like the mayor of the city, and he's like watching his mayoral debate that he had like earlier on in the day, and the Riddler, who wears a mask around his face, infiltrates this guy's apartment and then clubs him over the head with what we find out later is like a carpet puller.
Yeah.
Now, I thought, like, the way he hit him there, like, I thought he was, like, dead right there. But we've later find out that, like, he gets his thumb chopped off, and Batman says, oh, you can tell by his wound that he was alive.
Still alive, right.
And I'm like, I thought that bitch was dead from those hits he took to the head, man. From there, it goes to a shot of Gotham City in the rain. And I will say, I thought one of the overall pluses of this movie is I think it's all shot very well. And it definitely gives you like a good feeling of Gotham and like that noirish feel.
Yeah, I don't have any complaints there. There were definitely some very like cinematic like shots where you could tell they're really trying.
Yeah, that's one thing. This movie is very well shot. Now, I will say, like, so it goes into the scene at the beginning, which I love, and actually is one of my favorite sequences in the movie, where, like, first of all, we kind of hear his inner monologue,
Right.
where he's like, "It's October 31st, and it's raining, and
Darker than a truckload of buckles.
yeah, and he's like, I've been at this for 2 years, and I don't know if I'm making any headway and stuff like.
Yeah.
I really love that because that's like a staple of crime noir, is like that kind of narration. My criticism is that goes away for most of the film, and I would have loved it if they would
Stuck with it
have
for a
kept that in.
while.
Because one thing I like about reading a Batman comic is you constantly, you get the narration of what Batman's thinking
Right,
in his
and
head.
dialogue.
And I think it'd be awesome is like when he's checking out a crime scene, like if you actually hear in his head is like, there's a blood stain on the floor. That's where he was killed, but the body was moved. That kind of stuff. I would have enjoyed that.
I don't know if I would have or not. Maybe.
I like that kind of stuff. But anyway, I did like this sequence at the beginning where he's basically in his narration, he's like, the city's big. I can't be everywhere. And so we see these different crimes going on, but he's only going to be able to
Do certain things.
stop one of them.
Right. I also like that he was like street level because so many times he's like up on buildings and shit. I was like, I felt like he being down in the streets was more where you might actually see some crime.
I mean, I do like that, but you do like a shot every once in a while of Batman looking over the city.
They get those.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You don't like figure out like how Batman knows these crimes are happening, like right when they happen. Like that's when like that guy who was about to get beat up at the beginning of the movie. I was like, how did Batman know to be there, like in that subway?
I mean,
Yeah.
I get the sense that like
And you just happened to be there when like the guy pulled a gun at the store. Or whatever.
no, but he wasn't there.
Oh, he wasn't
See what
there.
they're doing is they're showing there's
Oh, that's
three.
right. They skip back.
See, there's 3 crimes in progress. There's the guy robbing the store. There's the guy spray painting the building, and then there's these guys.
That one was kind of dumb because I was like, oh yeah, he's gonna kick the shit out of that guy.
Yeah, I know. The spray paint.
He's gonna be like vigilante on Peacemaker.
You're welcome, Gotham.
The one guy gets beat up, other guy gets robbed.
He's like, I gotta pick my crimes. I don't want to pick anybody with anything serious going on.
But the whole point of the sequence is there's those crimes, and then there's the subway guy. Now he luckily, helps the subway guy, but the other guys are scared off by just seeing
The shadow.
the light in the sky, the bat signal. Because Jim Gordon also with his voiceover, it's like it's not just a call, it's a warning.
But it's on like every night.
That's true. It's on a lot, so he's really warning those motherfuckers.
He's like, I got my gun, just waiting for the bat signal to go out.
But I kind of also like that they posed the thing people have talked about a lot whenever you talk about Batman is like,
What if I commit crimes during the day?
well, not that, but the whole thing about like he's like, I've been at this for 2 years and things are just getting worse. So it's like, is Batman like maximizing the way he can help people by being the Batman, or would he actually be better off doing like because like the woman that eventually gets elected mayor in this movie, before she's elected mayor, she finds him and she's like, I'd like to talk to you about like maybe helping out the city financially or whatever.
Yeah, she's like female Obama or something.
Okay, Mr. Politics.
I could tell. I could tell where they're going. That also slightly didn't make sense because they were at some point they were like, what's the main mobster's name? Falcone.
Yeah, I think
They're
so.
like, Falcone's put every mayor in office for 20 years. He's the real mayor. And then they're like, oh yeah, she won. I was like, oh okay, so that narrative kind of breaks down.
Well, she only won because that one guy got killed, right?
I'm guessing that was like a special election after he was murdered. I don't know.
Well, they were running against each other, and then I'm guessing since he died, yeah, like
She
they could have ran
defaulted.
someone else, but like she probably would have won anyways, or something like. I don't know, but I mean, I think the implication would be there that like Falcone would no longer be there to like corrupt her and pull her strings, I guess. But anyway, yeah, I thought that beginning sequence was pretty great. So yeah, we see he beats and this was in the trailers, like he just beats the shit out of these face paint goons that were on the subway.
Yeah, there's like a gang, like they've got a guy cornered, like they're gonna kick the shit out of him, and like Batman just Yeah, takes them all on.
But he lets them hear his like clunking footsteps for about a half hour before he shows himself.
You want to make sure they're nice and scared first.
And he has like the zappy electricity thing in his hand to like shock that one guy.
Oh yeah.
Now, what do you guys think overall? Because something happens in this fight that happens to Batman a lot in this movie, which is he's just straight up taking gunfire to his body armor, and I'm like, I get it that he has body armor, but doesn't he have to like? Don't these shots have to hurt like fucking hell still?
All modern body armor, yeah, if you get shot, it's still going to hurt.
I mean, because he's taking some massive gunfire in this movie.
I was thinking like he probably has like really thick armor. Maybe that's just the logic we have to go with. But I mean, his suit is light enough for him to move around in.
Yeah, he's got some special Wayne technology.
Yeah.
And I mean, also, like, we'll get to it, but he straight up, like, gets exploded like a bomb, like, right in his...
Yeah.
I mean...
It did seem like he had, like, a lot of, like, little gadgets in his belt and stuff. It just kind of, like, random stuff like that shocker, and I don't know, I kind of like that.
Yeah, when that explosion happened, I thought he should have been dead. Like, his jaw should have...
Yeah, I mean, and plus, like...
He did lay there for a while.
And, like, he's getting shot so much that he's lucky none of these guys shoot him in the fucking face.
Yeah.
Maybe I should get a little, like...
I always thought, like, it would be smart if, like, he had a little thing that, like, he could push a button and it would, like, flip like a bulletproof, like, covering over his face, you know? Because it's just kind of... It gets preposterous once he's getting shot as much as he gets shot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't want to jump ahead too much, but especially, like, later on, there's, like, a bunch of people with, like, machine guns.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, he caught a few bad ones somewhere in this scenario.
Yeah. I noticed he has like the big metal thing like on his arm, and I didn't know if that is just like his grapple hook or if that contains other shit. I couldn't really tell.
Sure.
I did like the look of the suit.
Yeah, it looked good.
Yeah, it seemed like it fit him pretty good.
Looked good. Let's see, where was I getting to? Okay, so after he beats the shit out of all those guys, he sees the bat signal in the sky. And then that brings him to the crime scene where the mayor got killed.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah.
And this was also in the trailer. So, like, Gordon's, like, bringing him through the crime scene. All the cops are, like, you know, looking at him. Which, I mean, he works so closely with the police in this movie. That's another thing. It's like nobody puts together as Bruce Wayne, even though they're getting a really good look at him, you know. And yeah, so this is going to be the first of many where there's a dead body and a card from the Riddler with a riddle on it and like a cipher.
Yeah, the first one is a cipher and like a page of like cipher, but also like inside the card there's like kind of the key to the cipher or whatever.
I think these are interesting, but we don't really get like a good enough look at them to like see how they work, I guess.
Well, I mean, you're not just going to see a cipher for like 10 seconds and be like, got it.
I guess, but like, I couldn't even really, like when him and Alfred are like figuring it out, like I couldn't really even understand how it worked exactly.
Yeah, it was just like Zodiac or something.
But it's, yeah, I like, that's basically what it did, is made the Riddler the Zodiac killer. But yeah, I do like that that we get to see him be a detective in this movie more so than any other Batman film.
Yeah, definitely some of the crime scenes, like he picks out certain points of interest and like, you know, has some input. That's where you tell his observation skills are above normal.
I mean, in the Dark Knight, you get that, you know, small sequence where he you know, puts the bullet back together or whatever and finds the fingerprint on it or whatever. So there's like a little bit of detective in there, but not much. In this movie, you get a lot more of him putting things together, right?
Yeah, I did see that.
I'm trying to remember the exact sequence of things. So we first get his first scene with Alfred.
Right, he goes back to Alfred and like he kind of shows him the code or whatever, and Alfred helps trying to crack it. And ultimately, he doesn't, but he's like an inspiration, so Batman can crack it or something.
Well, I remember like he tells Bruce that he wants him to meet with the accountants, and Bruce is like, "No, I don't want to."
Right, that's the part where he's like, "Yeah, I don't have time to be Bruce or whatever. Like, I'm not doing this crap."
Now I feel like I'm skipping over something, but eventually him and Alfred get back on this cipher, and it says the word drive.
Right, they eventually figured out, it's drive or I think
Just the word drive, which leads him to him and Gordon finding the mayor's car, garage full of cars, I guess.
Right, he's got like a big car collection, and so, like they break in and they're going through this.
Yes, and he's like, I'm looking for a USB, which I don't know why he knew that.
Well, so there was 2 clues, right? They cut off his thumb,
Right.
and the word drive. So it's thumb drive.
Thumb drive. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was like a bad pun.
Oh, okay, okay.
So then when they find the car it had like a punctured tire with like shears or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, so he gets in there searching. He's like, what are you looking for? He's like, USB. He's like, got the thumb drive.
Okay, I got it.
It's a horrible joke.
So yeah, then they put the USB in the computer, and he's like, it's encrypted, and he's like, use the thumb. So he puts the thumb on it, and it turns out it had these pictures of the mayor with like a woman that's not his wife.
But also like after it had that, like it did something like it hacked his computer and immediately sent like
emails,
a mass email through Gordon's computer to everybody containing these pictures.
Yeah, like every news outlet or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And so I think this yeah, I remember. The picture of the woman and him is at the Iceberg Lounge, the Penguins Club.
Right, and that becomes important because it shows the mayor, it shows some girl that he's with.
And Penguin.
And the Penguin is there.
So he's going to go to that club
and look up the Penguin.
Yeah, and he just goes there as Batman and knocks on the front door. Which is okay, but I like Batman the Infiltrator who sneaks into places.
It seems like he could have probably been a little sneakier. He's like, hey, I want to see the Penguin. Then like another guy shows up and like, I want to see the Penguin. And then he just starts kicking everybody's ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of funny though.
Yeah, I mean, like those guys could have just locked the door on him and been like, "Yeah, we're not gonna do that."
Yeah, you open the little peep slot and be like, "Fuck off, Batman."
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, it's like, Batman. I told him to fuck off.
Yeah. Look, he's outside, just standing there like an asshole.
Wait, what's that? He's grabbing like C4 off of his mouth. But yeah, so he lays waste to all these people, and like one of them they kind of single out because we're gonna figure out is like a dirty cop, so he comes back into play.
Right, one of the people he beats up.
Yeah, but anyway, the Penguin and him end up going into the Penguin's like private room. Penguin claims that he doesn't know the woman.
Anything, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, he's just. But Selena Kyle is a waitress there.
Right.
And like he takes notice of her, and he also noticed like she gives Penguin like an envelope full of money.
And takes drugs
away.
Yeah, yeah. Like right in front of him.
Yeah, which wasn't very smart. So he leaves and just follows Selena back to her house.
Right. She gave some indication that she recognized the person in the photo, so he followed her.
That's right, because she looks at the photo and he looks at her, and he can kind of tell that she knows this person. So yeah, he follows her back, and we see that that woman in the photo is in Selena's apartment. But he's like kind of creepily spying on Selena, getting undressed.
He watches her do like a striptease.
Yeah.
I was like, this is classic. This is why I put my money on the table.
For Gotham.
The things I have to do. Justice.
I am vengeance.
And so yeah, she basically puts on her Catwoman outfit and gets on her motorcycle, and we see him.
Did you mention like she talked with her friend, like the girl? In the picture?
Yeah, he did.
They're like roommates, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, he follows her. She ends up going to the crime scene where the mayor's apartment or house or whatever, and because she knows there's a safe there that contains this woman, her friend's passport.
Right. They took her passport so she couldn't run away or something.
Yeah.
Like, so it was something maybe slightly convoluted, but...
Yeah, they took her passport so she couldn't leave the country.
But yeah, her passport's locked in the mayor's safe.
So Catwoman uses her Catwoman skills to get it out of the safe, and then Batman's like, "Oh, you're pretty good at that. I've been watching you."
Yeah, he like tells her that he was watching her in her apartment.
Yeah, at some point he does. Like,
But one thing, so they get in a little scuffle here, a fight, and I like that they didn't just like have her like kick his ass. Like he gets the upper hand. Like you see that he is the better fighter between the two of them. And then like a guard shows up, so like he like puts his hand over her mouth and is like quiet or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Although, did that guard didn't notice that like the safe was open?
I guess not. I mean, it depends how much you get paid, how much you want to pay attention to shit.
Yeah, that's true.
If you just walked in on them and there is Batman, Catwoman, you'd be like, "Have a nice night, sir."
Get your ass kicked.
Yeah, I wouldn't fuck with Batman, dude.
But yeah, basically, then like, I think Batman's like says like one woman's in danger. We better get back to your place or something along those lines.
Yeah.
So they race back there, and like her friend's gone.
Yeah, the apartment's been tossed, and like there's been a scuffle.
Yeah. And so I think Batman basically here just says like, "I'm going to need your help on this one," and like, "Can I get you to team up with me?"
Right. Yeah.
Oh, I know one thing we skipped over was back like right before he had a scene with Alfred, we find out that he wears these specialized contact lenses, which basically record everything he does every night.
Yeah.
And so they help him like, you know,
he can go back and review.
Go back and he like writes his like journals.
Yeah.
He keeps like a case book basically. So she agrees to help him, and we can also kind of see, you know, that they like each other.
Yeah, there's sexual tension.
Yeah. So he gets her to wear a pair of these contact lenses, and jump in if I'm like.
No, that's pretty much it.
I'm sure I'm missing shit here. So she goes. She's going to basically help him, because she mentions that there's this. I think like this place called 44 Below, which is like a special room within the Iceberg Lounge where like all the mobsters and politicians that shouldn't be there have meetings and shit.
Right, it's the secret club in the club.
Right.
And she normally works, I guess, in the outer club, but she can go down there and work or something. I don't know. If you're expected to be a prostitute down there, what the deal was.
I think she said like when her mom was alive, she was there with her mom, like as a kid or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, she knows about it. But yeah, she works in the regular lounge or whatever. So she goes in there and like she's like seeing all these like people that shouldn't be there, like cops and politicians and like high level people.
Right, and Batman also has like a feed off these contact lenses, so he can see what's going on, and she has an earpiece as well.
Yeah, and if she looks at him long enough, that he has like facial recognition.
Right, it'll recognize him. So he's trying to get her to take the time to look at people for like a second until it recognizes them.
Now, I think we did skip something because back at the original crime scene, there is a cop that comes in there. I think he's like Gordon's superior, and he's like, "Damn it, Jim, you're bringing this guy." Like you can tell he doesn't really like Batman being on the case.
I felt like he was kind of like an equal with Gordon, but like he could swing enough to like, you know, get him in trouble or something.
And the guy mentions that he was like a friend of the mayor. Anyway, what I was getting at is the Riddler also kills this guy. He like hooks him up to a thing where like rats are like eating at him or something.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of weird. Like the rats have to go through like this intricate maze, and like when they make it to him, like they can eat his face off or something. So pretty horrific way to go. Yeah,
and in the maze, there's another letter. Oh, I should say all these crime scenes have a letter addressed to the Batman.
Right.
Where he gets the clue in the cipher. This one, the maze had a cipher on it. I forget what that led him to, though, that particular clue.
Yeah, I don't know. It might come to us, but I don't remember. Because it seems like there's a clue or two, like talking about a rat.
Yeah, and
I don't remember the exact orders.
La Rata, I think.
Yeah,
because he gets it wrong at first.
Right.
El Rata, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Like rat with wings, stool pigeon.
Right. It was kind of, it was weird how that one went around, and like he couldn't figure it out.
Yeah. I forget exactly. I think that clue was the one that Alfred eventually like got the Spanish off of.
Well, yeah, I think Alfred spelled it out, and like he said something like it's bad Spanish or something because it was L instead of law.
Yeah. And eventually, like we'll get to it, but the penguin like gets him with the correct like thing or whatever. So back at the club, Bruce notices that one of the people she's looking at is the DA.
Right, it comes up.
Played by Peter Skarsgård, I believe.
Oh, okay.
I recognize him. I didn't know that was him. Okay.
Yeah, I believe that's his name.
But yeah, the district attorney and his office were all at a table.
Yeah, and so she starts talking to this guy, and he just starts saying things that he shouldn't say.
How is he a DA?
Yeah.
Well, they were all like on drugs.
That's true. He is on the drops or whatever they call them. Special drug they made up for this, the drops. But yeah, she basically there's this woman with him, and she knows what happened to the missing woman or whatever.
Right. At some point, Selena mentioned it, and she could see her reaction, and then she left the table to go after her, and Bruce wanted her to stay with the DA to find out who the rat was.
Right. Yeah, so they must have already got the rat clue by then, right?
Yeah, they had to have had the rat clue, so that must have been the second guy.
Yeah. So, and also here, Selena bumps into Carmine Falcone, and like Bruce finds out that they had some sort of prior relationship. I think he thinks it might have been romantic. I figured they were going to follow the comic, so I kind of guessed that she would end up being his daughter, which is what happens. So Selena goes outside. The DA like follows her and like offers to give her a ride, but she just like she knows he's like shifty, so she calls it for a taxi. And then he goes to his car where the Riddler is waiting, and the Riddler bumps him over the head as well.
Right.
Trying to think, because I know eventually it's going to lead to that funeral scene. But I'm pretty sure there's some shit that happened in between there that I'm not remembering exactly. I don't know if you guys...
I don't know, that's where the next clue comes in, right?
Right.
I think you can skip to that. There might have been something random with Selena or Alfred, I don't know.
Yeah, like I'm sure we're missing some things. But yeah, eventually... Bruce decides to go to the funeral of the mayor because he thinks that the Riddler will show up there because, like, a lot of, he thinks he's a criminal that might want to see his handiwork, basically. Right. So he goes there, and he actually runs into Carmine Falcone, and we find out that also borrowed from a comic book. I don't remember which one, maybe Long Halloween, but we find out that years ago, Carmine was shot in the chest, and since Thomas Wayne was a doctor, Thomas actually saved his life.
Right.
And young Bruce witnessed it.
Right.
Yeah.
Now that you mention it, I do vaguely remember that. I read that a long ass time ago.
Yeah. It is from a comic. And so this is where Bruce runs into the African American woman that's running for mayor.
Right. She like tries to pull him over and like squeeze him for money like at a funeral.
I was going to say that like we get the sense that like she's a good person, but it just seems shady that she is trying to like get it. Yeah.
Like, Bruce Wayne, I got to take my chance now.
I know we're at this like tragic place, but can I get a donation? He also like as he's going into this place, he sees that like the Riddler basically has this cult around him. A lot of people are like in favor of the Riddler because they're like, oh, he's taking down these piece of shit like corrupt fat cats, you know.
Yeah, he's somehow he's enlisted in or like made kind of some followers online.
Right. And we also like Bruce kind of hears this guy talking in the crowd, and I forget exactly what he says, but we get the sense that he's one of these Riddler fans or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's the same guy that shows up later.
I didn't piece that together, but yeah, that was kind of a weird off piece of dialogue.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the guy that shows up later that he beats the shit out of. But like this funeral like barely like gets started, or it doesn't really even get started, and like you can hear there's like some sort of commotion outside.
Yeah.
You don't really know what it is. And then like this car like barrels into the building. And like just for a second, like Bruce looks up and he sees like this guy looking on. You don't get a look at him, but he thinks it's the Riddler.
Yeah, he's backlit, so you just kind of see the silhouette. But everyone else is running, and he's just standing there watching.
Yeah, which I thought was an interesting thing to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, and we find out that it's the DA. The Riddler put a bomb around his neck and taped a phone to his hand and a letter for the Batman to his chest.
Right. And, well, there's also like one reference I don't think we mentioned is like the mayor's son was there. So when the car came crashing in, like he broke his attention off of the Riddler to go save the boy.
That's right.
And then the car comes crashing in, and he lets the boy go. I'm guessing does he become Robin maybe? I mean, I definitely got that sense because they kind of cut to him at a couple different times, and I was like, because he's an orphan now, and
he does show. I was wondering that too, because he does show up at different points. I mean, they've never done a Robin like on screen, and I kind of think it's a bad idea.
It could be. I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, it would have to give him like a whole different side, you know.
It's kind of hard to justify him putting a kid in harm's way, you know.
Yeah, but he does it in the comics like over and over.
I know,
There's been like 14 different Robins.
I know.
Like if one dies, he just gets another one.
Gee, he's putting kids in harm's way, man.
They're teenagers.
I mean, they could eventually do it, but I don't know.
I think they only killed one Robin.
Yeah, and he came back to life, so it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's all good.
So they clear out the building, all the civilians, and they kind of bring a bomb squad robot in.
To look at the guy. Yeah, because like you were saying, he had the bomb around his neck.
Right. And Bruce changes into Batman. He waits, I guess, for nightfall, and he comes in. And
I think he just had to make an exit and change and come back.
Yeah. And the note basically says, like, I'm only a phone call away or something along those lines. And the phone starts ringing on the DA's that's taped to his hand, so he pushes it, and it's the Riddler. And he's also, like, broadcasting this to the internet, I believe.
Probably, yeah, I don't know.
And he basically says, like, if the DA will answer 3 riddles, he'll release the bomb.
Right, and he's got like 2 minutes or something.
Yeah, something like that. And so, like, the answer to the first clue is, like, justice. The second one is, like, bribes, and he says, like, how much he's been bribed for, which is, like, $10,000 a month. And then I forget what the third one
The third question is, who's the rat? I don't know how it's set up, but basically he has to say
Oh,
who the rat is.
yeah, he says, who's the rat? And he's like, and the DA's just like, if I'm dead either way, so I'm not going to do it because then my family will die.
Right. Basically, yeah, that his family was going to die if he told, so he'd just rather die himself.
So, yeah, this is what we referenced earlier. So the bomb goes off, like, right in Batman's fucking face. I would have liked it more if Batman was like, oh, shit, that bomb's going off. And he just, like, maybe ran a little bit, and it, like, hit him in the back or something.
I thought it was just going to, like, decapitate him or something. I wasn't expecting the bomb. But at the same time, it doesn't make sense because the Riddler is, like, giving him clues to try to enlist his help, basically. And, like, you just blew his fucking face off.
I know. That's the other thing that doesn't really make sense, because we find out later that Riddler, in a way, is a fan of the Batman. Yeah. And so he doesn't want to kill him. So, yeah, I wish it was either like a small charge that just blew the guy's head off, or Batman at least ran a little bit from it so he can buy that it wouldn't have just fucking killed him.
Right, like it beeps a few times. He's like, oh, shit, sorry, dude.
Yeah, because like he took the brunt of it so bad that really it should have killed him.
Right.
Even if he had just thrown his arms up over his chin, like
yeah,
just protect that face.
Or just like turned a little bit, like his back, you know. Yeah, they got to protect Batman a little bit from looking ridiculous, you know. Yeah. So he wakes up, like this knocks him out, and like you can see like the police are surrounding him, but he's blacking out. And of course, nobody took his mask off, but they were talking about it when he's coming to.
Right. It's also ridiculous. They weren't like, "Oh, this guy's in an explosion. Let's get him to a medical." They like take him to the police station, and fucking put him in an interrogation room or whatever.
The whole time without taking off his mask, and then talking about taking off his mask.
You know, I know they can't just like copy the Dark Knight, but I did like the moment in the Dark Knight where the guy goes to take off his mask and his booby trap to shock the shit out of him, because it's like, okay, there's a reason, like, you know, I like that in the Dark Knight because it kind of, you know, helps explain that. But yeah, he comes to and he starts getting in a fight with the police officers, but you know, Gordon's there. He's like, calm down, everybody, calm down. And then I don't remember like the exact conversation here, but a lot of the cops don't like Batman, and like Gordon's captain doesn't like him.
Right. Well, also like when Batman first wakes up and like he starts swinging at everybody all crazy as shit.
Yeah.
And like he does this a few times, so everybody's like pissed off and on edge. And then so somehow Gordon talks everybody out of the room, like so he can be there with him by himself.
Yeah, and I think at one point like the captain's like, I'm putting you down for assaulting a police officer, and he's like, put me down for 3 or something like that. But yeah, Gordon convinces like the captain to let him go into the next room and have a conversation with Batman.
And there's like 2 exits to this room, so they're all on one side, and like there's another side that's not being guarded apparently. Yeah,
so like Gordon like basically, I think he tells Batman like, punch me out, take my key,
take these keys,
go to the roof,
the door, and escape.
So yeah, he punches Gordon like really hard, and I think you mentioned this to me, like Gordon doesn't have a black eye or like any.
Yeah,
like,
later on he should have like a black eye and like a big ass bruise on his face or something.
I mean, they do have a conversation where he's like, you could have at least pulled your punch, and he's like, I did.
It's like, oh, that's why I don't have any lasting effects.
That's why it didn't hurt that bad.
But so he has a scene where like he's running and there's like a million police officers chasing him, and he uses his grapple to get like up through the center of like the huge like, you know, spiraling staircase, and these cops are just like shooting like indiscriminately.
Yeah, he took a lot of shots on that.
Yeah,
one.
I thought his dick and butt would have gotten it really bad.
How did these cops on the other like levels just knew like, oh, I need to run out to the staircase and shoot this motherfucker?
Well, that's the other thing, is like all the ones below are like shooting at him, but as he goes up higher, there's just all these ones on the upper levels that come running out as well. They're like, right. Oh, well, I guess we hear that gunfire, and we're just gonna run out and automatically know what's going on. And
also, like the guy on the bottom level shooting up, not real safe for the other cops.
Yeah, like aren't they gonna have crossfire? Are they gonna shoot some civilians in this situation?
But yeah, so he makes it all the way to the roof.
Okay, now this scene here. So now we are introduced to a new kind of bat gadget that I don't know how I feel about, because it looks a little ridiculous and it doesn't end up working very well. So he basically has a bat like wingsuit, like some skydivers
squirrel
use.
suit.
Squirrel suit. That's what I was going for.
Yeah, because like in the Nolan Batmans, he has like basically the hand glider type,
the memory cloth thing, which I think is cool, even though it doesn't exist. But
this one he unzips and he's just got a squirrel suit, so he's like, if I have to fall, like I can slow myself down a little bit.
Well, first of all, like he did it so fast, I wasn't sure how he put that thing on. Like how it.
I felt like he had to like unzip part of his suit and like bring it out and attach it or something.
It was part of his suit.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just like in a zipper compartment and he can bring it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, he puts on this squirrel suit. He dives down, and he like he's like going under this bridge, and it like pops out like a small like parachute, I think, that gets caught on the bridge, and it just like. And then
catches, and then he gets hit by a bus.
Yeah, like a bus or something, and he throws him out on the street really hard.
He goes rolling down the street. At least he did limp away from that one.
I think maybe he should have done a little more than that.
And then the next scene, he's okay again.
He must have like Tempur-Pedic cushioning inside that thing.
What was the next bit after this?
He somehow he decides he's going to go see the Penguin again.
That's what I was going to say. It somehow leads back to him taking a harder look at the Penguin, but I didn't remember exactly.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly why. It seems like it was something Selena was saying to him.
Well, she ends up coming into that scene, but I didn't think they had talked for a while, so I was thinking it was
not.
I was thinking it was something else, but I don't remember exactly what the fuck it was. Because, the DA dies.
I think there was that clue that they went back to the Penguin for. Remember, like something about a bird. What was it?
Maybe clues. It was part of that clue he was thinking. The bird thing.
Like,
they're like, maybe it's a pigeon, like maybe it's a penguin.
Yeah.
So they thought maybe the clue was pointing toward the Penguin.
Okay,
as a possible victim.
Because I remember like him and Gordon. Yeah, they have that scene by the signal where they were talking about, oh, you could have pulled your punch or whatever. And then I think that you're right. I think that leads them into that conversation, and they're like, maybe it's the Penguin. Maybe I should take a closer look at the Penguin. So yeah, he goes to this warehouse where the Penguin is. And he looks through the roof or whatever, because this is a thing in like all Batman comics and stuff. There's so many roofs that have like the skylight that he can just like look in and break through and shit like that. And he sees like they're making the drop drugs or whatever.
Oh, that's right. Selena didn't tell him because she has a different part, like a coincidental meeting or something.
Yeah, so he's like on the building and he's like talking to Gordon, but then he notices like in the back of the building or whatever, like Selena shows up on her motorcycle and he's like, oh, things just got complicated. And so Selena like uses her whip on those like twin doorman guys because they like make a couple appearances and like
designated beater.
We find out we find out that she's ripping off trying to rip off the Penguin like.
Right, they're doing like a massive drug deal. So
and so
bunch of money, bunch of drugs.
Yeah, a bag full of money. But then the Batman confronts her. And I don't know if it's the noise they're making, but this draws the attention of the Penguin's goons, and they just start like opening fire on him.
Yeah.
And also, I think they find a bag that has like the dead body of her friend in it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she had already found that, I think, but she was stealing the money.
Yeah. I kind of feel like somebody should have probably died here, but they're basically pinned down. So Jim Gordon comes barreling in with his car, but then like he's getting this shit like shot out of him. And
is his car bulletproof?
I don't think so, but it was taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, I was like, he's hiding behind the door of that car. Like some of those are going through.
Yeah. Well, and I don't think the scene was thought out really well because like. Batman slips off into his car, and this is where we get the Batmobile like reveal, like revving up, and like Penguin's like, "Oh shit, I better go." But like one of all of the other goons still like went after like, well, I guess we see Selena like take the money and get off on. She's safe on her motorcycle, but what about Gordon?
Like I'm guessing I don't know.
I would have think he would have still been in danger. I don't think his car would have drove off.
But man, the Batmobile. I really love this Batmobile.
It's cool.
It's like an old muscle car. He's got some kind of gigantic fucking engine in it that's part rocket. I don't know.
I mean,
it's like a V8 and a turbine engine.
I do like that. It just looks like a really souped up muscle car.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's I guess it's not inconspicuous, but more so than the Tumblr. Even though I think I prefer the Tumblr because it's just so badass. But yeah, I did like this Batmobile. It's pretty fucking cool. What about you?
Yeah, I liked it. I like the Tumblr more, obviously, because it's like durable and everything.
Right.
But this was pretty cool. I like the whole idea that he doesn't have all the answers, like to all the problems just yet. You know,
Right.
He is kind of like figuring his way. So when it comes to his technology, it's still kind of being developed.
That's true. I wonder if, like, going forward, if we'll see like an evolution of that going forward.
Yeah, possibly.
One thing though is like I feel like this car chase causes so many civilians to get hurt and or dead.
I was sure people were dead. Yeah, because the Penguin takes off, so he takes off chasing him. Selena takes off on her motorbike with a bag full of money. But this was such a long car scene.
Yeah, it was.
Like he's chasing him, he's hitting him, and they're dodging, swerving, and it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah, they're like going the wrong way in oncoming traffic. And like part of me is like I feel like Batman's smart enough he could have just tracked down the Penguin without killing all these civilians.
Yeah.
Right. Well, at some point, like the Penguin, like he swerves in front of like a tanker and like brake checks him, and then the tanker hits his brakes and Batman like rams him or something. But yeah, it ends up in this big fucking traffic jam, and this tanker flips over and explodes, which is great. But like Batman does one of these like Gone in 60 Seconds where he flies up like one of these trucks with a ramp on it.
Right. It was very convenient where like the tanker turned sideways, but then this other like truck trailer like went right in place where it created a ramp where you could like go through the flames.
But it did come like right after you get that great cinematic where the Penguin's just like laughing. He's like, "Take that, motherfucker!"
Yeah, he's like, "I got you."
And he's watching the rear view, and there's all this smoke and explosion, and then just the Batmobile comes flying out of the smoke and comes behind him.
But I mean, that was like totally against everything Batman stands for. He like definitely was a reason.
Yeah, I was watching. I was like, there are people dead back there, buddy.
Yeah, and then he goes on to have this scene with the Penguin, and he just gets like a clue figured out by him, and then he lets him go. So like the whole thing was like, you know, he could have gotten that clue out of the Penguin any time, really.
Yeah, I guess I mean. They definitely still had enough to put the Penguin in jail, but they basically just tied him up.
Yeah.
And he solved the clue that the El Rato or whatever was the Batman, in which I don't remember exactly how that came around.
But it ends up leading them to like go to a website where
that's right.
Where the Riddler is like directly communicating.
Right, they can have
them.
direct communication, yeah.
And he tells him, bring the rat to the light and like you can have me or whatever. Like I'll reveal myself. And I think like Batman types in like, does the rat with wings or whatever resemble a penguin? And the Riddler's like, oh, you don't have the bigger picture yet or whatever.
Yeah.
And I believe this is where something causes Bruce to put it together that the Riddler is going to target Bruce Wayne and he's fearful for Alfred.
Right, I don't remember exactly how that came, but yeah. Or did he give him like a clue that...
Yeah, he knew it was.
Yeah. He gave him a clue.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember exactly what it was.
He was going to be targeting Bruce Wayne, and then like he was freaking out because Alfred was home or whatever.
Now, this leads to the question, which I thought the answer was yes, but maybe it's no. Does the Riddler know that Bruce is Batman?
No. Oh, they make it look like he does at some point.
Yeah.
And yeah, but no. Towards the end, when he's in the cell, you find out that he didn't know.
Yeah, I was a little confused on that part.
Right. Yeah, they did it on purpose, and it was kind of confusing.
Yeah.
But anyway, like, yeah, he figures out that, Bruce is going to be the target, but he's like, Alfred's home alone. Like, so he's like speeding in his car trying to get there. And they have like a woman that works for him that I've never seen her in the comics. I don't believe but she works, I guess, in the Wayne Enterprises building or whatever.
Yeah,
and she's like, I think Alfred might be in danger. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. It happened an hour ago. And so it's showing Alfred like got this package that said for Bruce only, but he opened it. It had a fireproof like thing to the Batman and a bomb that blows up. And for like 2 seconds, it makes us think that Alfred might be dead, but really he also is bomb-proof.
Yeah. Well, he did throw it away from him.
Yeah, that's
He still got a pretty good blast.
I guess.
He did more than Batman.
Bombs are just not effective in the DC in the room.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. So yeah, Alfred's in the hospital. I think
He does get a new clue there. That's where he starts learning. It talks about the sins of the father or whatever.
Oh, right. He finds out about his dad.
What was that project called where they were donating money?
Renewal.
Renewal is like some project his dad had set up to donate a bunch of money to the city for like public works stuff.
Yeah.
And like immediately after he died, like everyone kind of swooped in and started using it for corrupt business.
Yes. I was wondering, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I didn't know if it was just an Easter egg or if maybe they were throwing people that know the comics, trying to throw them off a bit. But in this thing he's watching, it's like there was this reporter, and I'm pretty sure his last name was Elliot.
I didn't notice anything.
And also, like in the same video, so there's this character in DC Comics called Hush, and his real name is Tommy Elliot. And also in that same video, like it says the word hush. And so I was like, I didn't know if that was just
probably just an Easter
egg or if they were making people think, oh, are we going to do a switcheroo where this isn't the Riddler and he's really Hush or something like that. Oh. But they didn't do that. So, I mean, I think it was just an Easter egg, but I didn't really know for sure. And then... yeah, I was trying to remember what brought on that video. I guess the Riddler just released that online or something.
Maybe, because, it seemed like you just watched it on TV, right? It was about, like, corruption or something. And it was, like, calling out. Well, it said, like, his mother was in an institution, and it came through different stuff. But, yeah, it just seemed like it was against the corruption in the city.
I'm trying to think, because at some point soon after, I think I'm missing a scene, but I know Bruce goes to the club as Bruce because he wants to talk to Carmine Falcone.
Yeah, I don't remember when that happened.
I mean, I think it was somewhere around this point.
He talked to Alfred in the hospital.
Yeah. But after he sees
that
Maroni.
was after, because he was confused,
So basically, he goes to see Maroni, and what Maroni tells him is that, and I forgot to say, that video also said that, I believe in this continuity of the movie, Martha Wayne was actually in Arkham. Mm-hmm. I believe in the comics she's Martha Kane, but in this version, she's in Arkham.
Right, so the video also accused his dad of putting the hit on like a reporter, right? So that's part of why he goes to the club to see the Falcone is to try to iron this story out.
And it also, the video said that, Martha, the thing that the reporter uncovered was that Martha had mental issues and had kind of been hospitalized many times.
Multiple times, yeah.
And that was going to hurt Thomas Wayne's political career, or at least that was his fear.
Right. So yeah, the story was like that was going to hurt his career. It was going to become public, so he killed the reporter.
Yeah, so Bruce goes to Falcone to ask him about this, basically. And yeah, Falcone says that his dad hired him to kill the reporter, basically.
Right.
So then, and he also tells him that he doesn't know for sure, but he thinks Sal Maroni put the hit on the Waynes.
Right. So yeah, his argument for that was like, after he killed the guy for Wayne, that then he was going to have something over on Wayne, and the other guy didn't like it, so he had him killed.
And I think he's told him too that somehow the reporter like was in league with Maroni.
I don't remember.
It was something like that. Anyway, so now he goes back to the hospital. Alfred wakes up and he's like, "Alfred, you lied to me." And he tells him this.
I thought that was kind of abrupt too. Like Alfred just woke up and he's like, "Hey, bro, why are you lying to me?"
I know. I thought that too. I was like, man, maybe take it a little easy.
Yeah, like, hey, I'm glad you're okay.
No hugs or nothing. You lied to me.
You know, there are a couple different instances in the movie though where you get the sense that Bruce isn't like socially adjusted.
Yeah.
Right.
And doesn't always like pick up on social cues.
Well, like times where you'd expect him to do something and he just stands there and like doesn't do anything.
Well, and there was that scene where he was getting Selena ready with the contact lenses, and she's like, "I'm just bait on a hook. You don't even care whether I live or die," or something like that. And he like,
this was a bit of a bait and switch.
He like puts his hand like on her face, and he thinks he's gonna like comfort her, but he's just like, "Yeah, they're working," or whatever.
Yeah, he's like, "Hey, look at me." Yeah, it looks good.
yeah, exactly. So you definitely get the sense that like he's not like his traumas kind of in his childhood like made him not the most like socially aware guy in the world, which is kind of accurate, probably. Anyway, yeah. So he's asking Alfred about this, and Alfred basically says that Thomas Wayne did not put a hit on this guy. He just kind of wanted to scare him, basically, and that things ended up going south and the guy was murdered.
Right.
And he basically tells Bruce the opposite of what Falcone told him, where he's like, "I think Falcone put the hit on his parents. I don't know for sure. Could have just been some thug, but that's what he thinks."
Yeah.
So Bruce, looking out, because every building has to have a skylight, he looks out the skylight of this hospital and he sees that the bat signal's going off. He goes there and like Gordon's down below and he's like, "Wait, I thought you lit this." So they go up, they don't know what they're going to find, and they find Selena he has tied up on a chair the corrupt cop that we saw before, from the club. And she has this incriminating recording of Falcone talking to her Russian friend that was murdered.
Right. They actually has like the murder on tape.
Where did she get the tape? Was it from that corrupt cop?
Yeah,
like,
I think she had it on. He had it on him.
And
yeah,
like white, that's what
a phone call that was recorded or something.
Yeah, I didn't understand like how that happened. Basically,
why a cop would keep that around.
I guess just as protection. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh no, the girl, her friend had tried to call her.
Oh right.
And she had a recorded message.
Yeah.
Something like that. Well, it was recorded on the friend's phone, but he had the friend's phone in his possession for some reason.
Yeah.
Like he'd taken it.
Okay. So let me try to piece this thing together, because they say that this is where they find out that is this where they find out that they put it together that Falcone is the quote unquote rat?
I don't remember exactly. They're getting close, yeah.
Because
oh yeah, they get this guy to confess, right? He says everyone reports to him or something.
Yeah, because they're like, so I guess years prior, Maroni got busted. It was like the biggest drug bust in police history, and he was informed on by somebody, some mysterious figure. And we find out, I guess, that person was Falcone, which I didn't really understand that because traditionally, aren't Falcone and Maroni, they're like rivals. Like, is the implication that they were all in the mob together and he turned his back on Maroni?
I don't know.
It sounded like they were all working together on this renewal, like how to take this carcass and like split it up amongst themselves. And then he kind of got greedy and like
he turned on him.
Turned on him, yeah.
Okay. But then Bruce is like, so what is like he, like your guys' puppet or something? But then the guy's like, no, it's the other way around. Like he's in control of everything.
Right.
And so I didn't know if I completely understood that aspect of it, but like you mentioned earlier, they're saying like, yeah, it doesn't matter who's the mayor. He's the guy that's been pulling the strings for the last 20 years.
Right, yeah.
So Selena like is going to kill this guy, and Bruce is like, no, don't do it or whatever. She ends up though like kicking him off the building, and like so Bruce has to save him, and it gives her time to get away. And
let's talk about how he saved him though.
Oh, go for it.
I don't remember this in the cartoons, but it's like a similar thing. Like he falls off and like Batman just like shoots him with a grapple.
Right.
How fucking bad is that gonna hurt?
Well, I mean, even in The Dark Knight, he does that with the Joker.
Right, yeah. I was thinking of the cartoon one where he like shot him with it, but I think he got him like in the ass or something. It was something kind of funny, but can you imagine just a grapple hook holding you in like midair, like your whole weight? Oh, that's miserable.
Well, and I don't know exactly how it like. I don't know.
Flesh not tear off.
And does it like just go like through his body, or does it like somehow wrap around like the Joker like somehow wrapped around his leg, you know, even though that's improbable.
Well, I think of this one where it's like a hook thing, or like a hand, like.
Well, I know like when one of the fight scenes at the club, like he sticks it through a guy's leg.
Oh, that's right. He shoots like a couple people. Yeah, he goes through their legs.
Yeah, so like, I don't know exactly how he hooked this guy.
Maybe he did. Maybe he just impaled him and then opened it behind him. I don't know.
I would think it would hurt either way.
But yeah.
They get him back up. So Selena is on her way to go to the club because like years ago, Falcone killed her mom and now she wants revenge on him. And I think Bruce tells Gordon to basically release this recording to the public.
Right.
And then he's going to go to the club to try to
stop
her, basically. So yeah, she goes to the club. She gets Maroni basically alone, is about to kill him when a guy comes in and tells, like, boss, you got to see this on the TV. and yeah, the media has that recording, that incriminating recording. At the same time, Bruce has infiltrated the club again, and he's cutting through like the power supply to the buildings, so it shuts off the lights.
Right, like she gets back where she has a gun on him, and then like he cuts the power like right at that exact instant.
Right, so like she's trying to like shoot the Falcone, but like he's kind of getting away because the lights are off.
Did we touch on the fact that Falcone is her father?
She does mention it like right in there.
Well, I don't think she reveals it until after.
Maybe, yeah.
Because
we're right in there somewhere.
Well, because
she tells Bruce earlier.
She does tell Bruce. Yeah, I don't remember where that scene is placed.
I think it's when she finally pulls the gun on him. She's like, "Hey, Dad," or something like that.
But there is a scene just between Bruce and Catwoman, and Gordon's not a part of it, where she tells the whole backstory about.
Yeah, she does tell it at some point.
That's pressing her, like, based on what's y'all's relationship. Like, how do you know him?
Yeah, so that must have happened before.
Well, that was when
She stole the money.
she stole the money, and she's like, he owed me this money,
Yeah.
and they got in this whole big thing, and she's like, he was like, how does he owe you this money? He's like, he's my dad.
Yeah.
And he had killed her mom.
Right.
So then it all comes out.
Okay. So yeah. So now there's this scene where the power's out and there's like an open elevator shaft and like these guys are like, pointing their guns at it and they kind of hear like something and obviously it's Batman. And so like he beats a guy up with the has the light, so like it's in complete darkness.
Dark.
And so now they have this scene that was in like the first trailer where like the only light you see are when the machine gun
Are firing.
Yeah. And it's kind of a cool scene.
It does look cool.
It looks cool. But again, he's getting hit so many times that I'm just like, okay, I get that he has body armor, but he's got to be in fucking pain. Like,
yeah, he's not doing well.
He's
Like,
screaming.
none of those hit him in the face. Yeah, that whole thing.
it's like, that's the thing I mean about like, it's kind of like in pro wrestling where sometimes they make the ref look too stupid. Where I'm like, I want to see Batman do cool shit, but don't put him in such an improbable situation that you can't buy that he's not like just dead.
Yeah, there were. It was weird when he did get hurt and when he didn't get hurt because I was like, well, how come that hurt him and then the other things didn't?
Right.
Yeah, it's a little bit far fetched, but again, visually a very cool scene. So yeah, now we're back in the room where like Selina's like about to kill Falcone, but then like he gets the drop on her, starts like choking her to death.
Oh yeah.
And of course Bruce comes in right at the nick of time, hits him. She's about to shoot him, but like Bruce stops her.
Yeah.
And so Bruce starts to, he's bringing Falcone outside to the police. And I think Falcone like tells him basically like, this isn't going to work or whatever.
Right. Everybody's in my pocket.
Right.
Yeah.
So he brings him out and like Gordon's there and like, yeah, he tells Gordon like, good luck, all the police are with me. And then Gordon opens the door, there's all these cops there to arrest him, and he's like, we're not all with you, you know. Now at this point the Penguin shows up and the Penguin's pissed at Falcone. Did he just find out that he was the rat? Is that what happened?
Yeah, it might have been. They had some exchange.
And then like the Penguin goes to basically bring out a gun, and there is a gunfire, but it's not the Penguin, and we find out that it was the Riddler. He shot Falcone dead, and he was in like the street light. So Bruce, Batman, like didn't mean to, but he brought the rat into the light.
Right, and also this part doesn't make sense because like, so Batman looks up at the apartment, and there's a sniper in the window. And later he goes up there, and that's the Riddler's apartment, and it's filled with like years worth of shit. So Riddler has been there forever,
Right.
and so like all this time, Falcone's never come out the front door where he could just take a sniper shot at him. Like Batman had to bring him out. It was like this guy's been living like a hermit life inside this club for like years.
But to be fair, like I don't think the Riddler's only goal was to kill Falcone, and like.
Yeah, he had other people on his list, but it was just like it's such a convoluted path to finally like shoot this guy.
But here's the thing: I think Riddler, more than anything, wants to make a huge political statement.
Yeah, he's trying to do something.
He's trying to expose the corruptness of Gotham. So like Falcone's just like the cherry on the sundae. I think overall, like he's got this larger plan.
But it seems like also part of his plan here, because like after he snipes him, like he runs away and he doesn't go very far. Like his plan was to be caught.
To be caught, yeah. And he makes sure like people see him go into this cafe.
Yeah.
And that's where you get that scene from the trailer where he's like, puts the question mark in the coffee or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, they capture him, and like they're going through his apartment, and there's a cage with a bat in it.
And another clue.
And this leads to a video that needs a password that they don't have. And Gordon gets a call and is like, the Riddler wants to talk to you. So, he goes to Arkham, and this is where he has a conversation. And like, see, this is the part that confused me about does he know if Bruce is Batman? Because he opens the conversation where he's like, Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it goes on for like that for a while, and then he's like, Bruce Wayne's the only one we didn't get. And so that's where it kind of breaks it, like...
that he didn't
He
know.
didn't know. He thought they were two separate things.
Oh, okay.
But he was still like fixated on Bruce or whatever. Because he was the one that got away.
And I think even like, he's got like a million pictures in his apartment with like, and it seemed like one of them had like both like Bruce as a kid circled and maybe him as a kid circled. And he was like an orphan.
Yeah, he was also an orphan. Which that's like their talk is where that comes out. So
yeah. I'm just remembering now a scene we missed earlier where him and Gordon got a clue to go to like an old orphanage.
Oh yeah, we did skip over that.
And that's where they saw a video of Thomas Wayne and the whole renewal thing.
Right. Yeah, but we'd already talked about renewal.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, in this scene with the Riddler, and I think you talked about this like way back at the beginning, where it seemed like maybe he went a little over the top here.
Right.
But this leads back to, okay, so you know how I was talking about how this movie, has these instances of basically saying like maybe we shouldn't idolize Batman and his thirst for vengeance, because Riddler in this scene talks about how like he was inspired by Batman and like how he could use fear and violence to kind of inspire people. And so this is where you kind of get a like maybe these things we like about Batman aren't the greatest,
Yeah, I mean, that's been kind of a running theme is like, does Batman create the supervillains?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, usually in movies, like, Batman is the villain. Like, when you think about, like, villains and how they behave, it's always somebody who had, like, something bad happen to them in their childhood, grew up kind of jaded, and then, wanted to get back at the world. So, like, Batman is, like, the archetypal, like, blueprint for, like, a villain.
Right, but he took his obsession the other way, kind of, and trying to help people. He sees it as helping people.
I mean, beating up, like, spray painters or whatever like that. Like, people would usually be like, that's overboard, that's wrong.
Right, and I think that's one of the fascinating things about Batman is, like, when it... Like, yeah, like, we root for this guy, but every once in a while... He maybe does something that makes us go like, oh, is he going too far? I mean, they did that in The Dark Knight too, where like he ends up doing the NSA thing and spying on everybody through the cell phones to try to track down the Joker, which I like. And they, kind of, and Morgan Freeman's like, this is wrong. Like we shouldn't be doing this. And he's like, I'll help you this one time, but like, So yeah, so they have their conversation, and he basically, Batman basically ends up telling him that he's a psychopath, and he like rejects that because like to him like the Batman was kind of his hero, and he thought they were on the same page.
Thought they were gonna be the same, and he gets all upset and butthurt.
Right, and he basically tells him. It gives him an inkling that like he doesn't know what's happening, like that the Riddler has some big plan.
Yeah, there's still something happening even though he's in there.
Right.
And he kind of like gets in his face is like, oh, you haven't figured it out? Everything was in front of you. Maybe you're not as smart as I thought you were.
Right. So like he goes back to Riddler's apartment because he's like, I need to find...
Yeah, there's still something.
There's still something here. So he goes there. and he's looking through the evidence, and like a cop, there's that security guard has the job of like protecting these crime scenes, but isn't very good at it. But he's like,
he was Barney Fifing it,
right? But he's looking at like the murder weapon, and like this guy gives him the clue. He's like, oh, that's a carpet puller or whatever. Like I know like a relative or something that's in that business or something like that. And so that gives him the clue to like, oh, I'm going to lift up this carpet here. Yeah. And he lifts it up, and goddamn, I forget what the phrase was underneath.
I don't know, but it's like the password of the computer.
Right.
Yeah, something changed. I forgot.
Yeah, but it's the password of the computer, and also like it has these like lights on it that
the bombs
correspond. Yeah, so he listens to this video, and basically the video tells of this plan where he's got these 7 vans like parked around that are going to explode and flood the city.
Right, so there's like a seawall, so he's going to put like bombs along the seawall and blow out parts of it, and then eventually the whole thing will collapse.
And he basically knows that because like the whole mayor victory thing is going on and like their version of Times Square or whatever. He's like, everybody in this area
is going to get evacuated.
Is going to get evacuated into this like certain building.
Right.
And he's like calling on his followers to basically go up in the rafters with high-powered rifles and start sniping.
Right, just start shooting people, yeah.
Yeah. And so we see those guys kind of, wearing the Riddler garb, the masks and everything, and they're getting all set up for that. We get a scene of like Gordon in that building as well, and like he's trying to keep the mayor from like going out and being exposed, but she like does it anyway. She goes to the podium and says something, and like one of the guys like takes a shot at her, but luckily they're not great snipers. They didn't aim for her head.
Yeah, at this point there's some water coming in and it hasn't like gone full bore yet.
Right.
And people are panicking a little bit.
And we also got a scene outside Selena, like on her motorcycle, like a cop stops her and he's like, you got to get inside this building or whatever. Like she's trying to get away.
Yeah, she was trying to get out or something. He's like, you can't go.
Oh, yeah.
So she ends up, being put into this building as well. But anyway, the politician lady gets shot in like the stomach or whatever. Gordon gets her like out of Dodge. And he sees these guys are, up there. And he's like, how do I get up there? But at this point, this is where Batman, like...
Right,
goes,
this is basically where they're just going to start unloading on people.
Right.
And, like, he explodes through the ceiling.
In a very well-shot, like, sequence that I think is in one of the trailers where, he breaks through, and it looks really cool. Yeah, and he just starts... fighting these guys, beating the shit out of them with their own guns and shit like that. But at the same time, taking lots of shots.
That's another thing. Like, at this point in time, like, if you steal someone's gun, like, just unload a clip on a few guys, You're hitting them with the butt of the rifle and swinging it around and getting shot some more. Like, just... You don't need to be this hardcore anti-gun, buddy. It's like sometimes you got to shoot some motherfuckers.
Even shoot him in the leg or something. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Well, he does like at one point.
Him.
At one point, like a guy, like 2 guys are like aiming at him, and he ducks out just in time for them to like shoot each other.
Right
at the same time.
Oh, and like you were talking about earlier, like he shoots like a couple people through the leg with his
grapnel.
I'm like, that's probably roughly as bad as being shot, maybe worse.
Yeah, because he does that, and then he like puts his weight on them to like swing down or whatever. I'm like, yeah, those guys are fucked up. Like they're not walking again, probably.
Meat has been ripped off the bone.
So eventually, like one of these guys with a shotgun, like finally gets the best of him and like shoots him.
Right, that's enough to like knock him back, and he's dangling by one arm.
Yeah, he's dangling by one arm. This guy's reloading the shotgun, and then in the nick of time, like Selena gets up there and is helping him.
Another thing is like that guy. He loads his shotgun and then he puts it down to Batman's head, But like he doesn't put it to like his face. Like he puts it up here on his helmet. I'm like, you've been shooting his armor left and right. Shoot him in the face.
Yeah, shoot him in the mouth, dude.
Yeah, these guys not the best shots maybe. But yeah, so Selena like gets that guy, but then somehow that guy gets the best of Selena and is I think about to kill her, and like Batman he's super fucked up, but he like opens up this like port in his leg and like sticks himself with adrenaline.
Yeah, something like that.
And so like he gets up and he just starts like fucking wailing on this guy.
He rage
and
beats
you're like, is he gonna beat this guy to death? And he doesn't, but he maybe comes close. Gordon kind of comes and like breaks it up too. And then this guy takes off his mask, and I'd have to watch it again to know for sure, but I'm pretty sure this is the guy from the funeral scene from earlier.
Like I was expecting his face to be like super fucked up when they cut over to him. I was like, he's got a broken nose, his glasses are kind of messed up.
But again, like, God, there's something in this scene too that kind of hammers home the point that they're saying Batman is too violent.
I mean, it could be. I mean, he definitely got super violent in that particular part.
Well, I mean, I think his motivations kind of got called out. Like when they asked him they asked that guy who he beats up at the end, like, who are you or whatever, and he calls himself Vengeance.
That's what it was. Okay, so yeah, I'm glad you said that. So in the scene, at the very beginning where he beats up the subway gang, like they're like, "What are you?" And he's like, "I'm Vengeance." From the scene from the trailer. And yeah, now this guy repeats that back, says he's Vengeance or whatever. So that's where now you're putting it together, like Batman kind of realizing, like, oh shit, like this is what I'm putting out in the world, which is interesting. But like between that and like the Riddler scene, I think this movie is trying to say something.
Yeah, I could see that argument.
So now this building is starting to flood, and there's like people trapped below that are in danger of drowning. Now, one thing, so like we see this electrical box is like kind of shorting out, and it's putting sparks, like throwing sparks down in the water.
Right, like it's going to electrocute people. Instead of like throwing a breaker or something.
But what he does, which I'm not sure is even a good idea, he jumps on the wire cable and like apparently he can detach the bat signal on his chest.
Right, it's some kind of like the batarang or something.
And it's like, yeah, like a big batarang / like sharp knife.
Yeah.
And he uses it to like cut through the electrical wires, which I think maybe shocks him. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't know if he needed to do that. But anyway, he goes and splashes down in the water. He comes up, and this scene is also in the trailer. Visually, this looks cool. He lights a red flare.
Yeah, it was a little bit extra, but yeah, just a cinematography. Anyway, yeah, one of those big words I can't say.
Anyway, he goes and he helps the mayor lady out. He also helps, and this is another callback to, is this kid going to potentially be a Robin? I kind of don't think so, but like that same kid, he ends up, helping him. And they show this, cinematic scene where he's leading the people out with his flare. It looks cool. So now the movie's kind of getting to where it's wrapping up, and he's like helping people, and this is where they bring back some narration, and he kind of acknowledges like, I have to be a symbol of hope, I think, rather than a symbol of fear.
Yeah, something like that.
Which again is interesting because they're kind of, again, like, I do think this movie is kind of a referendum on how people traditionally view Batman. Although I've always seen Batman myself as kind of a hopeful figure, but in some interpretations he's kind of a bastard, I guess.
Yeah, I always think of like Superman as the hope and Batman as kind of like the vengeance, like.
I mean, when they're together, they have that dynamic for sure. But I don't know. I mean, there's a million different interpretations and stories of Batman where, some he's a hard ass and some he's lighter. So, but I like that he has an arc here where we see he's growing as a character and understands that maybe he needs to change how he's being to do more good.
Yeah.
Now, one thing, so they have a few, more scenes. And one, I don't know if they really need it. It definitely seems like, hey, we're not done. We're setting up a sequel where, like, we see Riddler in Arkham and next door is a figure that we don't exactly know who he is. It seems like they're setting him up as Joker, maybe, but we don't know that for sure.
Like a little bit over the top of Joker.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he isn't Joker. Like, I was talking to him, like, the Joker is a great character, but I just feel like he's overused. Like, I want him to use other villains that they just haven't done yet,
Yeah, maybe they could go to a Joker later, like, he's eventually got to, make his way into the storyline, but...
See, I don't think he's a necessity. I'm sure he will, but I don't think has to be in it.
I feel like when I think of Batman, I think of Joker. Like, they just go hand in hand.
I don't know. I liked the fact that they used the Riddler in this movie, that it really was like a mystery. Mm-hmm. And I'd like him to keep, and we got to see his detective skills. So, like, I don't know, like, I'd like him to use maybe like the ventriloquist or Calendar Man or somebody who could create mysteries for him to solve.
Yeah, you know more about the villains than I do, so all I know is Joker. So I guess, if you could introduce new characters and make them interesting.
Yeah, I just don't think using the Joker over and over again is interesting,
Yeah.
He's overused.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently that guy they're using I think his name's like Barry Keoghan. You watched Eternals, right?
Yeah.
You know the kid that could like mind control people? He has that power. And he's kind of in love with the speedster woman as well.
Okay.
It's that guy.
Okay.
That actor. He also has a scene with Selena where like she mentions that she's going to go to Bloodhaven. And, like, she's trying to get him to run off with her, but he's like, she's like, oh, I see you're spoken for when the bat signal's on. Mm-hmm. And they have this scene where they ride their motorbikes for a little bit, but then she goes left, he goes right. And, that's basically where the movie ends, right?
Well, there's kind of like a foreshadowing of the Penguin becoming like the new...
Right.
Oh, yeah, you're right. He kind of has a voiceover where he's like, yeah, there's like, the city's flooded. There's parts that people can't even get into. And some people will use this as like a grab to get more power. And they're showing the Penguin there. So that's another thing they're setting up for a future movie.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I could see the Penguin being a good villain. I think he was like kind of meek in this movie just because he was under Falcone.
Right.
But when he gets his own like power and everything.
Yeah, it seems like he's going to have a rise to power.
Yeah, he seems like he's kind of a smart guy. He knows how to keep himself alive.
Guys, is there anything else that we've maybe glossed over that you can think of that you'd like to talk about?
Not really, man. We hit like everything.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah,
we didn't struggle as much as like we do if we watched it like a few days ago.
Yeah, it probably is a good idea that we did this soon after, but like even so, like there was still like things I was forgetting to piece together. But yeah, overall, really, really liked the movie. Like I said, I think I would have liked it with a little more of the noirish like Batman narration.
Personally,
throughout.
I would have preferred more looking at babes through binoculars.
There's always the porn parody we can look forward to.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, guys, it's judgment time. Where would you guys rate this scale of 1 to 10?
I'd give it a good solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I'd put it between like an 8 and a 9.
I'm same. Yeah, I'm going 8 out of 10. I think this was a solid movie. I'm looking forward to watching it again.
Yeah, me too.
And what do you guys think of the length of the movie? Because like we were saying, it is almost a 3-hour movie. Were you guys feeling that, or did you think it went along pretty well?
Like, I don't know what they could have cut out, really.
Yeah, because I heard some reviewers like complaining, like, yeah, maybe they could have taken it out, 15 minutes. But for the most part, like, I could see maybe trimming up some of those end scenes. Like, we probably didn't need like the Riddler Joker setup, like,
Yeah.
potentially, things that could have made this movie maybe feel more like self-contained and, hey, there's more to come. Like, I could see maybe getting rid of those scenes, but I didn't mind them, and overall, like, I felt the movie moved.
Oh, and spoiler alert: don't sit through the credits to see the bullshit at the end.
Oh yeah, that sucked. Did you do that?
No.
Man.
I mean, I heard a
We
reviewer.
were like end cap, so we couldn't get out anyway.
Yeah, we couldn't get. We were kind of trapped anyway. But I heard a reviewer like say, like, you can stay through the credits, but it's not really worth it. But like, and yeah, it's so stupid. It's just like, like the scene where he's like, they're typing back and forth to the Riddler on the computer. Basically, his Riddler thing comes up and it just says like goodbye. And I think it very like briefly like maybe shows that ratatata.com or whatever that site was.
Yeah, some bullshit. Actually, they probably could have pulled out like the Joker Riddler scene and put that as like a little bonus at the after the credits or something.
That would have made more sense, actually. That would have made a lot more sense. I don't know why they didn't do that. What did you guys think of the like the theatrical score, like the bum 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 bum?
Well,
bum,
at some
bum,
point there was someone behind us like tapping
Oh, really? I didn't.
tapping out that sound. I was starting to get pissed off.
Oh, I'm glad I didn't notice that.
I was looking around. I was like, does nobody else fucking notice it?
I
What,
didn't.
what do you mean they were tapping their foot to it?
I don't know. It sounded like they were like clicking like something solid on solid, like to the beat. And I was like, oh, this is annoying the shit out of me.
A few times the guy to my left was talking to his like girlfriend or whatever, and I was like, this guy could shut the hell up.
Well, at my theater, my seat, you know how you get like a reserved seat?
Yeah.
Like, I went over there and there were like 4 teenagers sitting in there, like all along the row.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm not starting anything with teenagers. So I just sat
You
behind
just
them.
walk in there, excuse me, fellas, and just sit on one of them. He's like, oh, I think you're in my seat.
It'd be funny if you did that to make a point, but then you're like, oh, I'm in the wrong row.
As you were.
Sorry, fellas.
Well, guys, we've been at it for like over an hour and 40 minutes. So
boy.
Oh, shit.
should we wrap this bad boy up?
Yeah, I
do
need
it.
to go to bed.
Well, guys, I like talking about Batman, as you can tell. We hope everybody goes and sees this movie. Hopefully you enjoy it as much as we did. But please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to us on your podcast service of choice. Leave us thumbs up, positive reviews, comments, all that good stuff. And why not follow us on Twitter as well, guys? Where can people find you on Twitter?
At a name for this too, and that's number 2.
At Unsolicited SUG.
And you can find me at Zach Jones Live. That's ZachJonesLive. And that is going to do it for all of our shenanigans and poppycock this week. Tune in next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Bye, guys.
Peace.
Have a good one.